who felt their areas would be dry would at least not go out and oppose the proposition on the basis that it isn't going to affect proposition, I guess, remains to be seen, but I would hope that those who felt their areas would be dry would at least not go out and oppose the proposition on the basis that it isn't going to affect their area, that if people in Oklahoma City want it legal to serve liquor by the drink, that is our business and our right to decide. I think there's a good deal of evidence that will support
that. Hospital baby care has improved greatly in the past few years, but no amount of care can stop sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS. No one knows how it kills, but 7,000 babies died last year because of it.
I don't know, you feel hurt, you feel like, why did this happen to me, you know? Or
Debbie and Troy Cook are one Oklahoma couple who lost their child last year. Elizabeth was only 4 months old when she suddenly stopped breathing at the babysitter's. Debbie and Troy went into a state of shock that soon developed into guilt until they met other SIDS parents. That's why conferences like this one are so important. They offer information as well as comfort. With this kind of help, parents can face the future, even the fear of it happening again.
I was looking at all the babies. I could see sudden infant death on every baby I saw for 2 months after ours died. You know, the little baby just finished eating, go to sleep. There goes one, there goes one. And it's really terrible, you know. But there's two ways you can go. You can either reject children, or you try to stay right back. You jump right back into it and try to stay in contact with children.
These conferences bring up a lot of memories that mothers and fathers would like to forget. But the bad memories must be brought out and dealt with so that the parents can start a new life. Sherry Sellers, Action 4 at Children's Memorial Hospital.
What's the normal procedure for this?
A lot of people have asked that question.
In addition to the denials, we have statements. There have been very dear to the hearts of people who he or she serves, and that's good.
It would be an entirely different matter if you would go to people and face them and confront them with evidence and say, you know, you're charged with misappropriating $20, and have them say, I admit that. How do I repay? What do I have to do? That would be handled differently than when you confront people with evidence and you receive lies and denials and a cover-up.
It's a tight squeeze for traffic meeting each other on Highway 60. The road is only 18 to 20 feet wide in places. There's a sharp drop-off on the edges that could be dangerous. It's not unlike many roads in this part of the state, but this one got some people mad.
We just simply outgrew the road. And with promises to have it redone in 77, 78, we were given a lot of dates in the last 10 years, and nothing happened.
Parker tried to get something done about it for over a year. Along the road, she found others in nearby Mino, Oklahoma, who were trying to do something too. They got together and drew up a petition, took it to the governor, who last night announced a project that will get the road fixed. The community group is pleased with the cooperation they finally got.
He saw what we put together here and the need that we had, and really, I think we need to really thank him for looking into it objectively the way he did.
They should have known the condition of this road, and there should never have had to been one letter written about Highway 60 West, because the road tells its own story.
The governor's support is only in the form of a recommendation. The whole project for Highway 60 here and 64 east of Enid will cost more than $16 million. These are just temporary repairs. The major repairs will come later. People living in this area don't think that the governor's decision to fix the road was politically motivated, even though this is an election year. They're glad he made that decision. They just wish that he'd made it earlier. Ted Brown, Action 4 near Mino, Oklahoma.
Areas just east of Blair, Oklahoma were closed due to damages from the tornado. State troopers and highway workers were on hand to keep motorists out of the damaged zone. Power lines hung precariously over the highway while crews waited for the materials to repair the damage and kept a watchful eye out for another storm system reported heading their way. Nothing was going on at a house nearby. Nothing was left but a scattered foundation and the home's rubble 50 yards to the north. The owners of the house were away when the tornado struck, but they had already come and gone, collecting what they could save as images from before the storm. Reports of injuries here vary. Highway workers say as many as 5 people are in an Altus hospital from Blair, but troopers say the injuries are all from Friendship, Oklahoma, and Altus. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4 in Blair, Oklahoma.
Raincoats and umbrellas are becoming part of the clothing norm in Oklahoma. The storm system that moved in Tuesday has yet to bid farewell. As a result, Oklahomans are wading in water in many areas. Up to 2.5 inches have fallen in Oklahoma City, flooding side streets and major thoroughfares, including the Turner Turnpike. But the flooding isn't isolated. With the exception of the Northwest, it stretches from corner to corner of the state. Swelling creeks and drumright forced the evacuation of 20 homes. Some 7 inches of rain pounded the town, leaving roads like rivers and the rivers like lakes. This school bus was stranded halfway across a creek. The stormy wet weather, which also brought twisters, has claimed 2 lives and left 13 others injured. At least this week there's little question that Oklahoma's weather can be as tough as it is unpredictable. Debbie Mash, Action 4 AM.
We don't know what the format's going to be. We don't believe it's proper for you to designate who comes. We think that we ought to bring our best qualified people to answer your questions, and we don't intend to respond until such time as you clarify these issues. We feel like that an effort will be made based on discussions between our counsel and counsel for the committee to resolve many of these issues, and we don't expect that they will issue any subpoenas.
It's been 2 days now since Braniff International Airlines announced they were going bankrupt. For the second day in a row, nothing was going on at the Braniff ticket counter. The home of George Akin was almost as quiet. The oldest son was in school, the youngest was asleep, and George Akin was trying to find another job. Until last Wednesday, Akin worked for Braniff International. He found out about the Braniff bankruptcy from a friend. It was confirmed by network news reports.
For 16 years, I've been, going to work every week. And then all of a sudden, you realize that you don't have a job. And, it kind of shocks you. To not to be able to go back to work out there, it's kind of sad. But I know the Lord will provide me with another job. And whatever that job will be, I think I'll be, happy in that job too.
Akin had been working for Braniff for 16 years. He started looking for other jobs when he heard Braniff was having trouble. But he says when you're already working, you're pretty selective about where you want to work next. Now that Braniff has gone under, he doesn't have that luxury anymore. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4.
Saturday afternoon, the school board began deciding what schools will be closed next year. Budgetary problems, declining enrollment, along with the failure of the recent school bond issue, have made it necessary to cut back in the number of schools presently operating. The board's objective was to narrow down the list of schools to be considered. These 14 schools have been proposed for closing. One of the main criterion the board is using is the ratio of neighborhood children that attend the school compared to those who are transferred in. School Superintendent Tom Payzant says the board members will make a final decision on the closings at their May 24th meeting. He says closing some schools may actually improve the quality of education.
There is a good argument that can be made, in my view, that when you have a school of under 200 children, it's hard to provide the breadth of program and choice to provide young people with as much as they could get in a school with 350, 400 students. So I think there's something to be said in the way of an educational argument for consolidating some of the small schools.
Payzant and other board members will hear what parents think about the closings at a meeting Monday night. Bill Ross, Action 4 in Northwest Oklahoma City.
With the end of the year,
Christmas is here early for 16-year-old Marcus Box. He's about to go on a trip he's always dreamed about. He and his family are headed to Disneyland, thanks to the Fraternal Order of Police's Make-A-Wish program. The program will grant any wish for a seriously or terminally ill youngster. It's hoped Marcus will be the first of many more kids to get their wish.
And I hope that other business and community and civic and people in the community get involved, because the only thing that's going to limit our efforts in sending Marcus and other children like Marcus to do what they want to do is our financial ability to do so. Whatever it is they want to do, we're going to do it if we can afford to.
After the news conference, Marcus and his family loaded up and were on their way to California. They'll take with them a $1,300 check to spend on the two-day adventure in Disneyland. Marcus suffers from a form of muscular dystrophy, but he doesn't plan to let that interfere with his fun in the sun. There's an added bonus to the trip. Marcus has relatives in California he plans to visit. He admits being a bit surprised about being selected as the first person to participate in the Make-A-Wish program. However, he's not going to argue with the decision. Just sit back and enjoy the ride to his dream come true. Ed Stewart, Action 4 at the F.O.P. headquarters.
Guthrie authorities are keeping a close eye on Cottonwood Creek. The stream began spilling over its banks early this morning, forcing the evacuation of several families from southwest Guthrie. Clarence Williams suddenly had a creekside home, but he and his neighbor Charlotte Glover refused to flee the floodwaters.
I know how to get out of here if I get ready to get out. I'm not going nowhere. It's my home. I ain't leaving.
You're not afraid?
Afraid of what?
The water?
No. What am I gonna be afraid of what for?
About 15 families took the Guthrie Police Department and the National Guard up on their evacuation offer. Refugees can stay at the Banner School Red Cross shelter if they want to. But if the creek crests soon, these evacuees could be back in their own homes by nightfall. Scott Wallace, Action 4 in Guthrie.
Usually, this river is a mere trickle, slowly meandering through the flat Oklahoma plains. It doesn't offer much in the way of excitement usually, but this is the highest it's been in 30 years, with 6-foot waves rising in a fast-moving succession of rapids. While others suffer from flooded homes and damaged property, at least 2 people see this as a rare opportunity not to be missed.
You had any experience with this, or?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of experience, not a whole lot, but we've been down to Ouachita here last week, and we went from Lindsay to Pauls Valley. It took us 12 hours to get down in. And this here looks a little rougher, so I guess we can give it a try.
Isn't this dangerous?
Yeah, it is, but it's fun.
I should they have more guts than they have good sense.
Some people would say this was nuts. How would you respond to that?
Nuts, huh? I've seen people do a lot more crazier things, but around here, this is, they call it country living, I guess.
It's a little dangerous, yes, but not all that unusual for other states where rivers are a place for people to go almost any weekend to challenge their skills and put a dash of spice in their lives. People who pit themselves against a raging river speak a different language, probably Finnish. Huckleberry Finnish, that is.
Oh, they lost it again.
Our adventurers were supposed to get out here in Lexington, but circumstances dictated otherwise. Oh well, it's all part of the trip. A trip that wouldn't have been possible without the flood that left others homeless. But these 2 won't remember it that way. They'll remember the great flood of '82, not as a tragedy, but as an experience to treasure. Ted Brown, Action 4 in Lexington.
Medal reads as follows. First Sergeant Warren W. Ralston is awarded the Oklahoma Distinguished Serviceman.
Congratulations to you, sir. Nice to meet you, sir. Nice to meet you all. Doing fine.
Computers are no longer restricted to just big business. In this decade, we've seen heavy infiltration of their use in homes, schools, and recreational centers. Today, computer buffs from across the state met at the University of Oklahoma to discuss problems and exchange new ideas in the growing home computer field. Some adults may view the home computer as complex and too sophisticated to use, but programmers say that's not true. Jacques LaFrance has designed a program called the Ant Farm. It's simple enough to teach children the basic concepts of computer programming.
Besides playing with the Ant Farm programming language and learning principles of good programming, there's a lot of other things they can use it for and have fun.
Such as?
Well, there's a lot of interesting games. I made a program for my 9-year-old daughter to practice her arithmetic on, so that she could learn her addition and multiplication, division facts more quickly and do better in school.
Computer science is definitely catching on with young people. 16-year-old Paul Kane has designed his own program for a perpetual calendar. This means you can find out what day any chosen date will fall on up to the year 2099. The uses for home computers are limitless. Experts say the day is not far off when you can stay at home and do most everything. Carol Lambert, Action 4.
After the jury of 8 women and 4 men were sworn in, the trial was underway, with the calling of Kerry Kendall's mother to the stand as the first witness. The drama was written on her face once again as she recounted the day her daughter disappeared. She had gone to buy a newspaper only a few blocks from home. Kerry never came home. Then Kerry's stepfather took the stand, Ed West. The defense hinted about a possible drinking problem and suggested that he might somehow be connected to the crime.
This morning, the medical examiner who performed the autopsy on Kerry Kendall described her cause of death as a result from a slash or severe cut to the throat. Dr. Alan Jones also outlined numerous injuries such as scrapes and bruises the body received. In a gruesome account, Dr. Jones described the depth of the cut on Kerry Kendall's throat. He also said it appeared Kerry Kendall had been sexually assaulted. Roger Dale Hayes sat quietly with his attorney. The prosecution will be calling more people to testify this afternoon in what is a repeat performance of a very gruesome case. Bella Shaw, Action 4 at the Logan County Courthouse in Guthrie.
This time, Don said his conscience was getting to him, that he had nightmares of Kerry Kendall and couldn't stand it anymore. Don said he was drugged the night he and 25 people participated in a devil-worshipping ceremony on the Cimarron River. He said Kerry Kendall died in his arms. Her last word was, "Daddy." The prosecution said that conflicted with earlier testimony when Don said Roger told him he did it. The jury was told to recess, and sheriff's deputies immediately moved in and arrested Don Hayes. He is now in jail on a charge of perjury, the same charge that befell his wife Thelma. She too was on the stand today and admitted that a blood-stained blouse was hers and that it was Kerry Kendall's blood on it. Thelma said she was raped by 5 or 6 people at the ritual. Don and Thelma's testimony does not implicate Roger Dale Hayes in any way.
Parkgoers are still shocked about the shooting death of 27-year-old Charles Warren last night, who was shot in this parking lot. 2 other people were wounded, but they were treated and released. The shooting apparently resulted from an argument between the victim and the person doing the shooting. An eyewitness who wants to remain anonymous described what happened.
Car pulled up, and right when he pulled up, it just started shooting. I heard about 4 shots go off, and seen Charlie stumbling all around, and seen some other people, you know, and everybody just went in kind of a panic and went crazy. And I just watched the car scream off, and he was gone.
Oklahoma City police say they do have a suspect in the shooting.
The suspect, 28-year-old Philip Dean Hancock, purportedly will be surrendered by his attorney sometime today. Charges are being filed in Oklahoma County today.
Stars and Stripes is known for disturbances when the weather is warm, and officials plan to keep a close eye on park activity this Memorial Day weekend. Ed Stewart, Action 4 at Stars and Stripes Park.
In closing arguments, both the prosecution and defense tried to point out holes in each other's cases. The case has been riddled with confusing, conflicting testimony. One of the defense witnesses was even charged with perjury after he lied on the stand. The defense maintains this story: Roger is innocent, Kerry was killed by devil worshippers. The prosecution calls that story preposterous and calls Roger one of life's losers, in and out of prison, in trouble all the time. Roger himself never took the stand. His defense attorney said it wasn't necessary, since there wasn't a good case against him. But apparently the jury thought it was a good case against him. At 4:35, after 4.5 hours of deliberation, they had a guilty verdict.
State of Oklahoma versus Roger Dale Hayes. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try the issues in the above entitled cause, do upon our oaths, find the defendant Roger Dale Hayes guilty of the offense of murder in the first degree.
Friday, the jurors returned for a verdict on the punishment, death or life imprisonment. Bella Shaw, Action 4 in Guthrie.
Whether the holiday weekend driver is planning a long trip, just running around town, or taking a short drive to an area lake with a family, gasoline ought to be among the least of the worries. City filling stations are standing by to let customers give themselves service with a smile. What's more, they're expecting a lot of people to do a lot of driving and use a lot of gas. That's a switch from holidays a few years ago, when more families spent quiet holiday weekends at home instead of initiating summer on Memorial Day, afraid of finding high prices or closed gas stations. But this year, folks just seem to be a lot more comfortable with the amount and the prices of gas. And around the state, auto services say there should be plenty of fuel all weekend, although by Sunday afternoon, a few stations may begin to close. Charles Schnetzer, Action 4.
The Memorial Weekend has brought tragedy to the family of an Oklahoma City police officer. Ed Bradway, his wife, and 13-year-old son set out this morning to spend a relaxing day on the North Canadian River. It was here that disaster struck. Their canoe was drawn into a log jam, and the swift current sucked the raft underwater. Bradway and his wife were able to hold on to the logs until help came, but their son, Wes, has not been seen since. The area where Wes disappeared is extremely difficult for rescuers to search.
Right. He's probably come back into the center of the current, would be my guess.
Police took to the air all afternoon, hoping some clue would turn up as to the boy's whereabouts. Divers have also spent the day searching the muddied waters, but so far his body has not been found. This evening, however, rescuers did turn up the lost canoe. With the approach of nighttime, they've been forced to draw in their troops. But the command post will remain overnight, and the rescuers will return to the scene at the break of dawn. Carol Lambert, Action 4 in Far West, Oklahoma City.